Video Lecture 1.2 Science as a Process. Art, architecture, philosophy, and science are all forms of human endeavor. Although artists, architects, and philosophers may use science in their work, science does not have the same goals as other human endeavors do. The goal of science is to explain natural phenomena. Scientists ask questions about natural events and then work to answer those questions through experiments and examination. Scientific understanding moves forward through the work of many scientists, who build on the research of the generations of scientists before them. Scientists start with the assumption that nature is understandable, and they expect that similar forces in a similar situation will cause similar results. But the forces involved in natural events are complex. For example, changes in temperature and humidity can cause rain in one city, but the same changes in temperature and humidity may cause fog in another city. These different results might be due to differences in the two cities or due to complex issues, such as differences in climate. Scientists also expect that nature is predictable, which means that the future behavior of natural forces can be anticipated. So if scientists understand the forces and materials involved in a process, they can predict how that process will evolve. Scientists, for example, are studying ice cores in Antarctica. Ice cores can provide clues to Earth's past climate changes. Because natural systems are complex, however, a high level of understanding and predictability can be difficult to achieve. To increase their understanding, scientists follow the same basic processes of studying and describing natural events. Over time, the scientific community has developed organized and logical approaches to scientific research. These approaches are known as scientific methods. Scientific methods are not a set of sequential steps that scientists always follow. Rather, these methods are guidelines to scientific problem solving. Scientific methods often begin with observations. Observation is the process of using the senses of sight, touch, taste, hearing, and smell to gather information about the world. When you see thunderclouds form in the summer sky, you are making an observation, and when you feel cool, smooth, polished marble or hear the roar of river rapids, you are making observations. Observations can often lead to questions. What causes tornadoes to form? Why is oil discovered only in certain locations? What causes a river to change its course? What causes some plants to grow faster than others? Simple questions such as these have fueled years of scientific research and have been investigated through scientific methods. Once a question has been asked and basic information has been gathered, a scientist may propose a tentative answer, which is also known as a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a possible explanation or solution to a problem. Hypotheses can be developed through close and careful observation. Most hypotheses are based on known facts about similar events. One example of a hypothesis is that plants that are given a large amount of sunlight will grow faster than plants given a smaller amount of sunlight. This hypothesis could be made from observing how and where other plants grow. After a hypothesis is proposed, it is often tested by performing experiments. An experiment is a procedure that is carried out according to certain guidelines. Factors that can be changed in an experiment are variables. Independent variables are factors that are changed by the person performing the experiment. Dependent variables are variables that change as a result of a change in independent variables. In most experiments, only one independent variable is tested. For example, to test how sunlight affects plants, a scientist would grow identical plants. The plants would receive the same amount of water and fertilizer, but different amounts of sunlight. Thus, sunlight would be the independent variable. How the plants respond to the different amounts of sunlight would be the dependent variable. Most experiments include a control group. A control group is a group that serves as a standard of comparison with another group to which the control group is identical except for one factor. In this experiment, the plants that receive a natural amount of sunlight would be the control group. An experiment that contains a control is called a controlled experiment. Most scientific experiments are controlled experiments. After many experiments and observations, a scientist may reach conclusions about his or her hypothesis. If the hypothesis fits the known facts, it may be accepted as true. If the experimental results differ from what was expected, the hypothesis may be changed or discarded. Expected and unexpected results lead to new questions and further study. The results of scientific inquiry may also lead to new knowledge and new methods of inquiry that further scientific aims. During an experiment, scientists must gather information. An important method of gathering information is measurement. Measurement is the comparison of some aspect of an object or event with a standard unit. Scientists around the world can compare and analyze each other's measurements because scientists use a common system of measurement called the International System of Units, or SI. This system includes standard measurements for length, mass, temperature, and volume. All SI units are based on intervals of 10. Accuracy and precision are important in scientific measurements. Accuracy refers to how close a measurement is to the true value of the thing being measured. Precision is the exactness of the measurement. For example, a distance that is measured in millimeters is more precise than a distance that is measured in centimeters. Measurements can be precise and yet inaccurate. Error is an expression of the amount of imprecision or variation in a set of measurements. Error is commonly expressed as percentage error or as a confidence interval. Percentage error is the percentage of deviation of an experimental value from an accepted value. A confidence interval describes the range of values for a set percentage of measurements. For example, imagine that the average length of all of the ears of corn in a field is 23 centimeters, and 90% of the ears are within 3 centimeters of the average length. A scientist may report that the average length of all of the ears of corn in a field is 23 plus or minus 3 centimeters with 90% confidence. In earth science, using controlled experiments to test a hypothesis is often impossible. When experiments are impossible, scientists make additional observations to gather evidence. The hypothesis is then tested by examining how well the hypothesis fits or explains all of the known evidence. Scientists also use models to simulate conditions in the natural world. A model is a description, representation, or imitation of an object, system, process, or concept. Scientists use several types of models. Physical models are three-dimensional models that can be touched. Maps and charts are examples of graphical models. Conceptual models are verbal or graphical models that represent how a system works or is organized. Mathematical models are mathematical equations that represent the way a system or process works. Computer models are a kind of mathematical model that use the high speed and efficiency of a computer to make calculations and display results. After a good computer model has been created, scientists can perform experiments by manipulating variables much as they would when performing a physical experiment. When scientists reach a conclusion, they introduce their findings to the scientific community. New scientific ideas undergo review and testing by other scientists before the ideas are accepted. Scientists commonly present the results of their work in scientific journals or at professional meetings. Results published in journals are usually written in a standard scientific format. Many journals are now being published online to allow scientists quicker access to the results of other scientists, and to reduce the costs of printing journals. Scientists in any one research group tend to view scientific ideas similarly. Therefore, they may be biased in their experimental design or data analysis. To reduce bias, scientists submit their ideas to other scientists for peer review. Peer review is the process in which several experts on a given topic review another expert's work on that topic before the work gets published. These experts determine if the results and conclusions of the study merit publication. Peer reviewers commonly suggest improvements to the study, or they may determine that the results or conclusions are flawed and recommend that the study not be published. Scientists follow an ethical code that states that only valid experimental results should be published. The peer review process serves as a filter that allows only well-supported ideas to be published. After results are published, they usually lead to more experiments which are designed to test and expand the original idea. This process may continue for years until the original idea is disproved, is modified, or becomes generally accepted. Sometimes, elements of different ideas are combined to form concepts that are more complete. When an idea has undergone much testing and reaches general acceptance, that idea may help form a theory. A theory is an explanation that is consistent with all existing tests and observations. Theories are often based on scientific laws. A scientific law is a general statement that describes how the natural world behaves under certain conditions and for which no exceptions have been found. Like theories, laws are discovered through scientific research. Theories and scientific laws can be changed if conflicting information is discovered in the future. Scientists from many disciplines commonly contribute the information necessary to support an idea. The free exchange of ideas between fields of science allows scientists to identify explanations that fit a wide range of scientific evidence. When an explanation is supported by evidence from a variety of fields, the explanation is more likely to be accurate. New disciplines of science sometimes emerge as a result of new connections that are found between more than one branch of science. Scientific knowledge helps us understand our world. The work of people, including scientists, is influenced by their cultural and personal beliefs. Science is a part of society, and advances in science can have important and long-lasting effects on both science and society. Examples of these far-reaching advances include the theory of plate tectonics, quantum mechanics, and the theory of evolution. Science is also used to develop new technology, including new tools, machines, materials, and processes. Sometimes technologies are designed to address a specific human need. In other cases, technology is an indirect result of science that was directed at another goal. For example, technology that was designed for space exploration has been used to improve computers, cars, medical equipment, and airplanes. However, new technology may also create new problems. Scientists involved in research that leads to new technologies may or may not consider the possible negative effects of their work. Before making decisions about the technology they adopt, people should consider alternatives, risks, and costs and benefits to humans, to other life, and to Earth. Even after decisions are made, society often continues to debate them. For example, the Alaskan pipeline transports oil, but the transport of oil in the United States is part of an ongoing debate about how we use oil resources and how these uses affect our natural world. Thank you for watching Mr. Rich's video lecture on science as a process. Be sure to review all class assignments on Canvas. It is expected that students record their observations and comments on the classroom discussion board. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next class. Mr. Rich.